I used Hope Chest to find somebody that appears to need ordinances to go to the temple and wanted to spend time with this top one, Clyde Chapel Chisholm. Before I open his person page and have us consider him as an individual, I want to just mention if I were to take care of these green ordinances, the ones that flagged him and caused me to come to him in the first place, then I would no longer be interested in him. Nobody else would have a flag that would bring them to him either. And so the odds of somebody bothering to come and visit his person page and spend time with him would be minimized drastically once these ordinances get taken care of. As a result, people are not going to try to come and find this missing spouse. So once I opened up his person page by clicking on the person page icon, Clyde's person page appeared, and you'll notice that I've got excellent birth information, I've got excellent death information and burial information. It's standardized and formatted correctly, and I could take him to the temple right now and not feel too bad about it. However, I don't have a spouse for him, and if I take a few minutes and try to find a spouse, I might be able to seal him at that moment to his spouse and complete his ordinances rather than leave that very important idea or need for him left undone. So what I want to do is to initially review the sources. He's got 4 that are already attached, and you see over here that he's got other record hints that are available. When I look at the sources that have been attached, he's got a 1910 and a 1920 census record. If he's born in 1903, you would think that both of these are going to be him in his house with his parents. He's also got a Find a Grave Index and a Death Index. And in the Find a Grave Index, if you look at it, it gives us his birth and his death date. Now, Find a Grave is one of these sites that uses compiled information. People enter it. The information isn't automatically correct. It's not based on government-issued records like marriage records and other documents that you can have more confidence in. It's more of a secondary resource. But you can have a lot of confidence in Find a Grave because of the tombstone pictures that are put there. A lot of times it can be a very great guide for you. Now, the thing that I want to mention is the indexed information from Find a Grave oftentimes is quite limited. And if you actually go to the site itself, you'll find more information. And so what I want to show you is that by going here to the site, I see a picture of his tombstone, and I also have the indexed information laid out for me there. But when I come down a little bit lower, I see the the information on his tombstone, and I see his parents. And when I go back, so that if I want to know for sure that this is my Clyde, Henry Clay Chisholm and America Magdalene Williams, well, this is my Clyde because the parents are the same. But you'll notice that I've got a spouse here. And so by not going to the actual site, sometimes you lose this information. And I've got the 4 siblings as well. But what I'm interested in is the spouse's information. So who the spouse is Callie Way Chisholm. And I've got her birth date and her death date and where she's buried. And I've got her parents' name as well. So I'll want to enter her, but then let me come back here and show you of all these record hints that I could add. If I look at all of them, what I have is a census record, a death record. I've got a child and his spouse, Callie Florence Way, and then here I've got this marriage record. Now, if I would have come just straight to this marriage record, let me review and attach this marriage record with you. If I would have come straight here, I wouldn't have known for sure that this was my Clyde or not, because I don't have enough information. All I've got is the birth date, and it's not exactly the same. And so I would have had to be a little bit in doubt, and I think I would have hesitated to add Callie Way if I would have gone directly to this marriage record. But since I've got the information from Find a Grave, I'm confident enough that Callie Way is my wife. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this official document. And all I'm going to say here is that the document verifies marriage information. And then I will attach it. And then the important one is this next one, because this is where I'm going to add his wife, Callie Way, and she's a female born in 1906. Now, I could at this point change this information to here and come up and say 22 January 1906. And I could put Callie Florence Way in, and I don't have a birthplace, unfortunately, but I can put this death date of 6 March 87. And I don't know for sure the death date. I know the burial place, and I suspect that she died in Asheboro, but I don't make that automatic assumption. And so then I can go ahead and create this new person. Now the computer's going to check and see if they've got somebody named Callie Way, and apparently they don't. And so I've got my Callie Florence Way here with this birth date that I put in, and then I go ahead and put the marriage date in at this point. And so because I've got a marriage date and a marriage place, Callie is going to be ready to be taken to the temple as well. So I didn't just, by slowing down, complete Clyde's ordinances. I also have another person that I get to take to the temple. So when I come back over to Clyde at this point, when I come down, I've now added his wife, and I've added a marriage date and place. Now, I'm always big on getting things formatted correctly, and so I'm going to come here, click behind the date, put in a space, have the computer offer the correctly formatted information, and then this one is formatted correctly, and then I'm just going to put in standardized. So now, by slowing down just that much, I'm able to have added a spouse, and I'm going to be able to, when I take him to the temple, complete all of his ordinances rather than most of them. Now, I need to spend a little bit of time with Callie so that I can get her information more accurate. Remember, we don't have her birthplace or her death place, and with some of the record hints that she will have on her record, I'll be able to find that and add that, and then I'll take her to the temple as well. The other thing that I will show you as I slow down and interviewed is that I come over here to the other people that are on Clyde's person page, and I just real quickly click and I say, oh, he wasn't sealed to his parents. I may be able to go seal him to his parents. I've got a green temple there. And I just come down, his brothers and sisters. Somebody has requested and shared with the temple these ordinances. And so it looks like all these are going to be covered. They haven't been done, though. This is the first one that's been done. Then I get to Hampton, same thing, shared with the temple. But they didn't do Clyde, so it might be that they went and did the first 4 and they stopped. Maybe that it was back far enough that these guys weren't qualified at the time. They were born within the 110 years. I see this James Franklin. He needs to be sealed to his parents. And then I've got Frank. And Frank needs all of his ordinances. But I'm going to suspect that Frank and James are the same person. And let me show you one reason why I think that. Because if I go up here to the sources and I look on, let's say, the 1920 census record, when I look at who's in the house, I don't have two. I don't have a James and a Frank. I just have a Frank. And then you'll notice I have a Dillard. And also notice that that he is born in 1906 and Dillard is born in 1908. Now, if I come back to my to the people, Well, Dillard is the middle name here, and Frank is the middle name there. So it appears that they might have the tendency to call their kids by their middle name. And then also, James was born in 1906 on the census record, but when you have the actual date, it was really later in 1905. Well, and so when you look at this Frank, we have almost no information. Somebody probably entered Frank from one census record, 1906 in North Carolina, but he's really a duplicate of James Franklin. And then when you look at Herbert, same thing. We can add the North Carolina and get his birthplace from that record, and you'll notice we get to take Herbert Dillard to the temple as well. So because I slowed down and interviewed, I'm going to be taking Herbert Dillard to the temple and doing all of his ordinances. I'm not going to do Frank Chisholm's because I believe Frank is a duplicate of James Franklin, but I will do James Franklin's sealing to the parents that he needs. I'm also going to be able to take Callie Florence to the temple and do all of her ordinances once I go ahead and dress things up and get her birth and death information as well. And then I'm going to be able to take Clyde to the temple, and I'm going to be able to now, instead of just doing these ordinances, I'm also going to be able to seal him to his wife. And so that's an example of how slowing down and doing what I call interviewing people before you take them to the temple helps you to complete their information and helps you to take more people to the temple oftentimes. And I just want to remind you, this green temple would have been gone once I did those earlier ordinances, and nobody else would have been led to Clyde, and the odds are that he would have for a long time not had his wife added and not been sealed to his wife had we not slowed down and done it this way.